Everybody, big waves to you. Good to see you. Hello, hello, hello. So I'm kidding Arlene about positivity. You are amazing. So here's what I will say. Our word for today is understand. Understand. And have you ever heard the phrase, it's like seek first to understand before being understood? Man, and that's a hard one too. That's like, it's hard to zip the lips for me anyway, like, and try to understand. I like to think I'm good at that, but I'm terrible at that. Just being honest. So if you look at the definition, it's like perceive the intended meaning of words, a language, or a speaker, interpret or view like in a particular way. And I think we can all like kind of understand the meaning of understand, but understand is deeper than knowledge. Actually, Nicolas Cage said this: understanding is deeper than knowledge. There are many people who know you, but very few who understand you. And when I went to this, I went like, that's so true. Like, do we really seek to understand? So I want to ask you a question. I want you to picture this in your mind, just like I did when I was preparing for this. A bear. Or let's go this route. An old time photo of a scarf on a person. A jacket, leather, goggles. Put in the chats if what comes to mind. Goggles, leather jacket, kind of dark leather, scarf. Motorcycle, aviator, motorcycle. Okay. Pilot. So I think a lot of people would think pilot, aviator, possibly motorcycle, but we've all seen the teddy bear souvenir, right? That's got the aviator's jacket on, the goggles, the scarf. And we go, oh, that's cute, right? Pilot, like they're simulating a pilot. And you're going, Brent, what are you talking about? Have we actually looked at that and sought after the understanding of what that really is? Because here's what a scarf, goggles, and a leather jacket really represents. The scarf is for what? Back in the days of, it's to wipe their face from the oil that they're getting as they fly, right? The goggles and actually the leather jacket is for protection of the eyes. The leather jacket is actually protection from debris, because a lot of them flew back in the days with, it was open, right? There was no cowl, like no glass top. It was wide open. So my point being is with this, you know, all of life really can be like that. Like we can see something and fill in the blanks around it, but do we really understand? You know, we may just think the bear cares a lot about style, right? That's why they're wearing it. We also can fall in the trap of so earnestly wanting to get our point across, we forget to listen to the people who are speaking, who's speaking to us. And even when we listen, I fall in this trap. How often do we really seek to understand? If you find, just like me, if you find you've got issues understanding those around you, slow down and try to truly understand where they're coming from, what they're going through, what is their motivation for doing something, what they truly need or want from you. Like, slow down just a little bit. And I guess I finished this part with going, it goes back to what I said originally. Seek first to understand before being understood. But if I went through the world really going, like and I'm going to turn this to Andrea, but how many of you live on this fast paced day where you don't have time to slow down and understand? Like I see things and go, man, I'm going to give you this scenario. Throw myself under the bus, and Andrea, I'm turning it to you. Just this past year, I decided we've got a lake home, and I decided that I was going to get a different ski boat. And I really don't have time to use it. I mean, come on. Okay, I probably shouldn't say that. I could, but you know, my son's using it. Others use it, and end of the year, I didn't take the time to seek to understand how to winterize the ski boat because I was too busy. And guess what happened to that ski boat, that new ski boat? Block busted. Now, John Frick knows what that means. New motor. So I get the grand prize of putting a new motor in a new boat because I simply didn't seek to slow down. I didn't slow down enough to go, what I need to do to winterize, to go into the winter. That little bitty thing. Really, it was a little bitty thing that you put like 2 gallons of antifreeze in and you would have been done. Didn't take the time to do it. So seek first to understand before being understood. I think that was a life lesson for me that will stay with me for the rest of my life. So, Andrea, I'm going to turn it to you.
Well, that sounds like a painful one, Coach. So sorry about that.
That was a painful, expensive lesson.
That's no fun. So I really enjoyed this lesson this morning. Had some fun researching this and kind of looking into it because you think, oh, well, understand. That's such an obvious word, right? Like we all understand it, but it can go a little bit deeper. So the quotes that I found was to have someone understand your mind is a different kind of intimacy. And the biggest communication problem we have is not that we don't, or excuse me, is that we do not listen to understand. We listen to reply. And I was kind of thinking about, and this might apply more to the ladies. I don't know how gentlemen speak. So maybe you do, I don't know. But how many times when the ladies have been chatting with your friends and your girlfriend's kind of in the beginning of a relationship and you know they're over the moon and they've got like the little look in their eyes, right? Like we've all seen it. And they say something like, he just understands me. He just gets me, right? So to men, if you talk like that, you know, feel free to share that. But I know the ladies do. And when you've heard that in the beginning of the relationship, I'll tell you, you'll watch that relationship and it tends to continue because the both partners, or at least one, really feels seen. And understanding is so important in every single relationship. So if you think about, you know, a company has to understand their consumer, the spouses, and you know, we have to understand our significant others, our parents. You know, as parents, we need to understand our children, and as children, we need to understand our parents. And then in our business, right, with what many of us do, we absolutely have to understand our prospects and the people that we are teamed up with. But how do we get to that place of understanding? So that's kind of what I'm going to focus on today. What can we do to really get to that place of understanding? So first of all, ask open-ended questions. But realize with that sometimes when you're asking, the other person isn't even going to know the answer. Like it's going to take a minute to get there. And what all that makes me think of is like, have you ever been starving? And I know we've talked about this before, but have you ever been starving and you're out with somebody and they're like, well, what do you want to eat? And you're like, I don't know, just feed me. Like, just shut up and feed me. I have no idea what I want. I don't really know what I need. I just know that I need something. And a lot of times in the more heightened conversations and more, you know, emotionally driven, we can be asking those questions and we might even get frustrated because we won't get a clear, concise answer. So we've got to listen with more than our ears. We've got to try to understand, like, look at their body language, look at, you know, what's not being said, and try to pull it out of people. Next is listen, really listen, not just to respond. And I listened to a book the other day and I thought this was so powerful. And oh my gosh, I was so guilty. Like I went, oh my gosh, I've done that 1,000 times. How many times have you been in a conversation with somebody and you're listening, you think you're like actively engaging, but all you're really doing is listening to your own reply to what you're going to say. So they're talking about, I love the color blue. And I'm thinking, I'm going to tell them my favorite color is green, right? I'm not even hearing that they're telling me blue. So when you're listening to somebody, try to pause that. And I will just try to pause that and be focused in that moment and not so focused on what you're going to respond to what they're saying. And then focus on empathy. So fight, and this can be a struggle, to figure out how it feels to walk in their shoes. And the example that I just heard about that, and I can talk about this all day, is have you ever flown with somebody? Like maybe you are great in an airplane. Like flying is your relaxation place. You don't, the phone doesn't work, so you can just chill and watch a movie or read a book, and you really enjoy the 4 hours of peacetime. And then there's other people like me that get on an airplane and are counting down the moments till they die, right? Like you just know that you're going to crash. Like you're just waiting till it happens, until you are safely back on the ground. So if you're like me, you are high strung. And if you're like the other person and you're chill and you fly together, well, sometimes that can be a little bit hairy, for lack of a better word, because they don't understand that you are losing your mind, right? And so in our conversations, when you see somebody else that is heightened about something that you really don't get, it can be a struggle to try to pause and say, okay, let me try to see it their way. Let me try to walk in their shoes so I can really understand where they're coming from. And then with that, lastly, realize that every single one of us walks through this world with colored lenses. And my colored lens is completely different than yours. And we don't even know that we have a lens on. So it can be a battle. It can be definitely challenging to take our lens off. And I think the best example I can have of that is when you text somebody, right? I don't think texting is the best form of communication. It's just a way to relay information. But when you're texting something, the person, like when you get that text, you're going to read it with your mood. And so if I'm grumpy and you text me, how are you doing today? Right? Like just picture a computer reading it. I'm not going to read it that way. I'm going to read it as, well, how are you doing today? Right? Or, it could be as simple and as innocent and as sweet as that, or there could be some aggression behind it. Who knows? Because I'm only seeing it through my lens and not yours. So just try to remember that each of us see this world through our lenses. So try to take them off so we can truly understand the other person. So this was a good one. My toes hurt a little bit, Coach. So thank you for this one today. And I love you guys. Hope you have a great Wednesday.
Yeah, definitely a great one for me today. I'm going to listen more today. That's my goal, is to listen more today to understand. So love you guys. Happy hump day. We'll see you back tomorrow. Have a good one.
See you tomorrow.
Thanks so much.
Y'all so good.
Great day.